doing. May I now request all the panelists to ask questions to each other. We can't get the audience to ask at this stage because they are being streamed live separately. If there are any issues which we think we should be raising it within the panelist, it will be very exciting for us for another 5 minutes, and then we'll close this session. So the forum is open to all the panelists.
I can just say, big thanks to all the panelists. I learned a lot. I'm a relative newbie to agriculture and ag tech, and very inspiring to hear. And I've taken a few notes, and Dr. Arthur and Dr. Costanza definitely be reaching out for more guidance and advice.
Right, absolutely. Anyone else?
You're on mute, Dr. Arthur.
Okay. Yes, thank you for a different presentation. And I just appreciated the approach from Dr. Drove because I think it's we have to look at both sides. The global policy, which is of course, farmers depend on global policies, and we should never forget that if we want to have sustainable development for the whole planet, because too often in our developed countries, we think that everything is the same in other parts of the world. It's not true. It depends on policies. And the other aspect is really the farmer, who is the entrepreneur, who takes the risk and decides what should be done. And maybe he needs to be helped also. And this service that the extension service, or it's more than extension service, but what you provide, I think it's very important and should not be forgotten. But when I look at another part of the world in Africa, with adjustment of IMF, they have reduced the budgets in countries, and they have reduced the extension services. And now we are coming back to that, because you need to be able to have both sides, if you want to make changes, and it's very important.
Absolutely. And
yeah, go ahead. But,
yeah, no. Firstly, I'm still not a doctor yet, but I think our version of extension services are both being created through the gig economy. So trying to create local entrepreneurship, local job opportunities, and also extension through the new digital economy, where access to information in easy ways is available through technology infrastructure, and that becomes the new world extension of opportunities for farmers.
I have an additional question. I had some contacts with Chinese colleagues in bioenergy, and they have solved the issue of burning rice straws in a different way. They collect it now, and they have solved the issue to transform it into electricity and power. So they had difficulties in the past, but now as they are collecting the straw, they can make energy. In your proposal, as I understood, is to convert the straw into fine particles and to make it decompose. Is it? I am correct? Yes.
Yes.
That means
so
it can improve the soil, but you lose the energy. So what do you think of that?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, this is a bioenzyme of 7 different fungi coming together, which IRI scientists have developed. And what we've done is we've seen that this can decompose the straw within 20 to 25 days, right? And with the additional action of turning this using rotavators or the happy seeder back into the soil, it actually improves the soil health. It improves the biomass and the bioactivity within the soil. So yes, it's helping on that front. It's eliminating the direct burning and the environmental impact. The cost of doing this seems to be the cheapest in terms of economic viability of otherwise all other solutions. This seems to be the cheapest and most beneficial for soil health. I'm sure we will run other pilots also and see that between baling and some of the other opportunities, there are even newer technologies emerging where you can convert straw to pellets, which can be used for energy, which is what I think you're proposing. I think our aim is to look at the most viable, energy efficient, and overall beneficial model for the soil and for the farmer. And we want to eliminate crop burning over the next 3 years with a combination of all these available systems that we can test out.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question to the various presenters and thought leaders on the agriculture and climate. One is that how far the conversation in the agriculture is addressing not the emission reduction but actually the net zero. The conversation when it is net zero is in industrial level is entirely different from there are some things that I cannot do in the net zero world, and there are some things that I can do in the net zero world. So whereas if it were a simple emission reduction kind of a pathway, there are many things that were possible, there are many things that were good are not in a net zero pathway. The second thing that I wanted to ask for the agriculture is that we keep hearing about a number of carbon sequestration solutions, soil sequestration solutions. So are they to the scale? For example, if anybody wants to sequester carbon dioxide from a industrial level sequestration, and he wants to apply that on the land, is the carbon sequestration at that level is economically feasible, and what is the status there? It's to all actually in the panel.
I can give a very quick view on this. We are very deeply focused on building carbon sequestration models through agriculture. So this year for the paddy belt that we have undertaken, we are going to actually start seeing how we can drive additionality for soil organic carbon by some of the practices. I think if we talk about net zero, there are, the problem of creating a reliable carbon sink over a sustained period is very cumbersome. And I don't believe that we have actually cracked it at that level that we can scale those processes, because it still requires every project to be registered. It still requires very deep protocols and acre by acre understanding of how this is going to happen. So purely from a practical standpoint, I think the pace at which this is moving versus the pace at which we need to get to net zero, they're out of sync completely, right? We are coming at it from a very different idea at this point. We are actually going to launch the idea of a net zero individual. And if every individual starts becoming net zero and starts calculating their green score, then it is entirely possible to disconnect corporates to the activity at the farm and integrate this back into individual business processes. Then I think acceleration of what has to happen at the farm can happen much more easily.
So very rightly said, that's the ultimate goal then when we individually start doing it. But from the point of view of the emissions which are coming from the industry and getting used in agriculture is something which is still to be solved at a scale. And I think that's where we are. And it's actually a good challenge for all of us and people like you as well. How do we do it? So we'll stop here because we have some other sessions also going on. We have Mr. Kaushik from PhD CCI to ask questions.
Question is to Mr. Babu. Dr. It's for you to have the electricity supply, continuous electricity supply, unlike the solar energy where we depend upon the sun and we have to store this energy. But in due course of time of your operations, there must be some breakdowns of your system, electrolysis. So how do you see manage to supply electricity continuously? There could be two options. Number one, you operate your processes at not full capacity, or number two, you have to have a parallel setup to replace those which are down, the systems which are down. So how do you manage this continuous supply in case of any breakdown?
No, that is like any other part of the industry. You need to have a backups, and if in a given series or electrolyzers in series, or in parallel, if some of them fail, you should always have some things to compensate for it or a backup for that. So that challenge will always be there.
But the electrolysis is the main costly process. So if you have to have backups of that scale,
yeah,
will it not be very, it will not be that economical?
No, normally what happens is that you have something like 201 megawatt. For example, we were looking at some solution in India itself, something like 101 megawatt electrolyzers. So instead of putting 101 megawatt electrolyzers in parallel, I would put possibly 105 mega electrolyzers in parallel. So if any of them fail, I have that 5% backup already built into the whole system. So that is how normally these industrial systems operate.
Everyone, starting from Prasad sir, Prasad Ashutosh Sharma, who joined off regular discussion. Look forward to again connecting with you all separately. Thanks for being part of PhD CCI event on International Climate Summit. And I cannot thank on behalf of them. And he's sitting next to me. He was the one who was organizing this session, but I wanted to be the face Mukhota of this session. So thank you very much, and we look forward to again connecting with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.